This is a live Channels television event.
Every scar has a story. In our journey as a people, we've had moments of triumphs and trials, a moment that challenge our collective unity and progress as a nation. The Boko Haram challenge remains one of those painful chapters in our journey. It strikes at the heart of our existence as a people, affecting the unity and coexistence of every Nigerian. It is for this reason that I have put together a book titled Scars, Nigeria's Journey and the Boko Haram Conundrum. It is a book that seeks to reflect on where we have been, where we are, and where we hope to be in the future. So it's in that light I'd like to invite you, as the book will be unveiled on the 3rd of October 2025 at the Congress Hall at the Transcorp Hilton in Abuja. It will be my delight to host you, for us to reflect together on our journey as a people. I believe that collectively we can turn our scars to victories. You are invited.
But I'll make this one now. First is to say that the former chief of the naval staff, Vice Admiral Dele Joseph Izoba, is here with us, and I'd like us to give him a round of applause. His Excellency, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, GCON GCFR, former President of Nigeria and Chairman of the Goodluck Jonathan Foundation, as you've been told, is here with us this morning. Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan has been accompanied to this occasion by Honorable Ishaka Mohammed Bawa, former Chief Whip of the House of Representatives, Honorable Azibaola Omekwe, former member of the House of Reps, and Miss Anne Iyonu, Executive Director of the Goodluck Jonathan Foundation. You know why I want you to give you a round of applause? Whether we like it or not, when Dr. Goodluck Jonathan was president, we would dare not go to him to ask for a donation. But today, having mentioned the size of his contingent, there is no way Goodluck Ebele Jonathan Foundation is not giving us money for this book. So with that dispensed with, I'd like to now invite Eugenia to formally introduce the lady whose task it is to officially welcome us. Eugenia, please come through. Come through. Don't worry. To deliver the welcome address so we can get this activity truly and well started. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nzeku. Forgive me for stalling over there. Being a television person myself, I do not like to cross cameras because they just might be working on a very important shot and then you walk across it and ruin their work for them. This is why I respect cameramen and camerawomen and media personalities standing behind the camera. It's their job to capture the moments in history, and we must not disrupt them while they are doing their job. While we're doing that, shall we give them a round of applause? People forget them all the time. They work very hard on their feet to ensure that everything goes very well. In the spirit of recognition, so I do believe that having done this for nearly 4.5 decades, these pieces of paper will not cease to come. We just continue to use our discretion to decide. However, I know that General Irabor made sure that the creme de la creme of society, the people who matter in Nigeria, family and friends and stakeholders, friends of General Irabor and family are all here, and they are indeed the VVIPs of this event. We welcome you. Ahead of introducing the lovely lady whose job it is to do the welcome address today, permit me to greet and welcome the very distinguished sister of mine, distinguished Senator Irabor Basanjo, from First Daughter, who is seated here in the room. We appreciate you, we see you, and we welcome you. We have with us certainly former governors who are here, and I would like at this point to use as a point of reference the former governor of Akwa Ibom State, retired Colonel Bako, who is here with us today. We welcome you. Please give him a round of applause, of course. I have mentioned former chiefs of defense staff, and they are here in their numbers. We thank them. I see my brother has joined us, and we knew that all of them are very respected and welcome. There are former ministers, former heads of agencies, and the Dangote Group has sent an advisor in the person of Engineer Mansour Ahmed. He's here in the room. And we know that we have our traditional rulers who hold the house for us. And I'd like to immediately greet and welcome the Olu of Iwo, Oba Abdul Rashid Adewale Akombi. We welcome you, sir. Kibata Akbelese. Ekbelesa. The Etsunupe is here, His Royal Highness Alhaji Yahya Abubakar. We welcome you, sir. We thank you for being here in our midst. We appreciate you. And of course, we have very important personalities here. And like I mentioned earlier, we all are very distinguished persons. Only 2 days ago, the President of the Federal Republic, His Excellency President Tinubu, had mentioned how at 65, and by the way, happy independence celebrations to all of us, we are still in the mood. A nation such as this, rising every day with some of the most important creatives and talents across the world. Nigeria is to be celebrated. And the President said we need to stop throwing Nigeria under the bus. We can't continue to denigrate our country while other nations are coming here to look for things, to do business, to come to Nigeria. If you look around you, we have our Indians, we have our Chinese, they're here. We are, in the meantime, talking about our nation as if it is not our nation. The nation that birthed us, on the sands of which we work, that graced us, that gave us the things that we have, that gave us our parents, and gave us our communities, and gave us jollof rice. It's an important nation. We should keep it that way. Today, we celebrate a man who served his country relentlessly in the various command positions he held and international military assignments, finally rising to the very top as Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff. No one knows him better than his better half, who is a lead gender development expert and corporate lawyer. Barrister Mrs. Victoria Anwuli Irabor was also immediate past president of Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association, DEPOA, author of The Journey of a Military Wife, which I read twice, chronicling her life and, interestingly, how she met her husband during NYSC. That story is the cocoa. You have to go and read the book. Fellow of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administration of Nigeria with 25 years of corporate legal practice and boardroom experience. With a triple master's degree, she's a triple master's degree holder, one in corporate management and finance law, masters of law, and guess what? She has a master's in conflict security and development from the NDA. You know, when you are intentional, your husband is a soldier, is a general, you go and study masters in conflict security and development. Madam, you go day nice, make we know who this conflict resolution matter is about, but that's a conversation for another day. Her parents, her mother was a nurse, her father, teacher and principal, and her mother used to tell her that she will be a barrister. She's so tall, so that when she enters the court, they will respect her. She is a woman whose role in keeping the house front whole is unflappable. Please, help me welcome the family anchor, the wife, friend and confidant of the General, Barrister Mrs. Victoria Irabor, to deliver her welcome address.
The special guest of honor, His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, here ably represented by His Excellency Muhammadu Badaru Abubakar, MNI, the Honorable Minister of Defense. The chairman of this event, His Excellency Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR, former President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The guest of honor, former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, GCFR. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is my great pleasure as the wife of the author of Scars, Nigeria's Journey and the Boko Haram Conundrum, General Lucky Eluonye Onyenuche Irabor, retired, CFR, to welcome you all to this auspicious event, the official unveiling and launch of the book. I would especially like to thank the special guest of honor, His Excellency, the President of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, and the father of our nation, ably represented today by the Honorable Minister of Defense. We are delighted to have the former head of state and President of Nigeria, our father and mentor, His Excellency Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR, here present to chair this great event. It is an honor to have him write the foreword to the book, which will be unveiled soon. Thank you, Your Excellency. It is also a great honor for me to recognize the presence of the guest of honor, former President of Nigeria, His Excellency President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, GCFR. Your presence adds tremendous value to this event. We are genuinely grateful, Your Excellency. A special welcome to Your Excellencies, the governors, former governors, distinguished members of the National Assembly, ministers, royal fathers, especially the Dain of Agbo here represented, the Sultan of Sokoto, the Esunupe. It is indeed a privilege, and we are blessed to have you all join us today. All is set for this event with the presence of the book reviewer, Bishop Hassan Kuka. Thank you, my Lord Bishop, for accepting the review of this great piece, which will soon be unveiled, and for your esteemed presence. I equally wish to acknowledge the keynote speaker, Major General Babagana Mongonu, retired, for the insights that he will bring in his reflections on national security. I warmly welcome the Chief of Defense Staff, Service Chiefs, former Chiefs of Defense Staff and Service Chiefs, senior military officers, both serving and retired, their wives, and all the distinguished guests present here. We are grateful to have you all join us on this occasion. Today is a day indeed to reflect on Nigeria's journey so far and the Boko Haram conundrum, which should be the concern of every well-meaning Nigerian. By writing this book, General Irabor has further deepened the effort to bring a solution to the problems bedeviling our nation. We are grateful to the author, my darling husband, for sharing from his wealth of experience. It is indeed a great pleasure to have all the distinguished guests in this hall witness this epoch-making event. Once again, I welcome you all for being here today. Thank you, and may God bless us all.
It is not easy, first, to be married to a soldier, second, to be married to a very cerebral soldier, and you can understand the motivation for Mrs. Irabor making sure that she's not completely outshone in the family space. Only 3 master's degrees. If she had the opportunity, she will take the 4th and the 5th. I think we need to salute her efforts for being a dependable wife, mother, friend, and confidant. As she was speaking, I'd like to believe in good faith that we are now live on television because it's 11 o'clock. Ladies and gentlemen, Nigeria is celebrating 65 years. In the quest to build a nation that is united, peaceful, and progressive, we must constantly reflect on our successes, challenges, and failures. For Nigeria, there are myriad problems. Insecurity has remained a huge pain. Its consequences are wide and impact negatively on Nigeria's stability and socio-economic advancement. The Nigerian military has been saddled with the containment of insecurity, and our soldiers bear the scars, perhaps more than other citizens. This morning, as we gather at the presentation of this book, authored by a man who gallantly bore arms in defense of Nigeria, it is a chronicle that highlights the deep wounds of insecurity and outlines a pathway for resolution and containment. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to the presentation of Scars, Nigeria's Journey and the Boko Haram Conundrum. I'm sure Eugenia would like to add a word or two, and then we move on. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nzeku. Indeed, more than just a word. What an incredible book, and I've had a sneak preview. So we will not steal the thunder of the book reviewer, even though nobody can do it better than His Lordship, Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka. Even if I tried, I will not be anywhere close. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, quote, a scar is a mark left on part of the body after an injury such as a cut was healed, unquote. This underscores the title of General Leo Irabor's newly minted book titled Scars, Nigeria's Journey and the Boko Haram Conundrum, which is about the devastating damage Boko Haram inflicted on our national psyche. This book explicates the journey, the history, and the first-hand experience of the author, and it is one which General Irabor describes as his contribution to the body of knowledge and value addition to the process of peace, security, and development in Nigeria. This is an incredible book. I'm delighted to be part of what former President Obasanjo and our very distinguished chair describes in the foreword as the first detailed eyewitness account of background of Boko Haram and the Nigerian Armed Forces operation against the group. It is my distinct pleasure and that of Dr. Nzeku to be here today at the presentation of this formidable book. Dr. Nzeku?
Thank you. So we'll crave your indulgence now to watch something on our screen, a short documentary, just for 2 minutes. And if my technical team is ready, please run it now.
I have been involved in addressing the problem of insecurity in the country as a soldier. More importantly was the fact that I led the troops in Northeast Operation, at Operation Lafia Dole, as well as the Multinational Joint Task Force. During this period, I saw the pain, the agony that both the forces that were confronting the challenge, as well as the citizens, the civilians, and other stakeholders, the anguish that they have to pass through, the challenges that we faced, and of course the reaction from both the government and the people. So it was in that light that I felt that to be able to advance the cause of this war, that certain awareness had to be brought to the generality of the people. That informed the writing of this book. But I equally realized that the roots of the insecurity go beyond just the Northeast, the Boko Haram, and that the foundational issues of our nation was to be interrogated. So this is the reason why the book, The Scars, Nigeria's Journey and the Boko Haram Conundrum, took account of our historical journey to be able to look at issues that are important, how we can address them in order to have a more peaceful Nigeria.
A must-read. Get your copy today on Amazon.com and at Roving Heights bookstores across Nigeria. For more information, visit www.luckyirabor.com.
Media, are we still on the page of General Irabor?
Oh my God!
Indeed, a short clip that is so powerful. Where do we go from here after 65 years? That means that as a people, we should be more intentional. We should pay attention to the small and the big things, and we should worry about how our nation is viewed internationally. That's our collective action. That's our duty. And it's a matter that is very dear to General Irabor's heart. Esteemed guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, sir, I'd just like to quickly reel out those who are representing governors here today. We have CP Usman Baba, retired, representing His Excellency Engineer Abdullahi Sule, Governor of Nasarawa State. I'd like to also greet and welcome Professor Tonu Kari, Honorable Commissioner, Higher Education, Delta. His Excellency Governor of Enugu State, Dr. Peter Ndubisi Mba, is represented by the Honorable Commissioner for Lands and Urban Development. And we also have former Governor of Delta State, His Excellency Ifeanyi Arthur Okowa, who has joined us here. For Abia State, we have Honorable Ugochukwu Collins, member, Abia House of Assembly, representing the Abia State Governor. And we have TPL Anekon Ubong Akpan, representing the Governor of Akwa Ibom State. And of course, we have with us here a man very much after my heart, the chairman of the board of NDDC, former secretary to the government of Delta State, Barrister Chiedu Ebie is here with us. Good to see you. Welcome. Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I've been given a task that while it's not above my pay grade, it's quite an interesting task to be performing this role today. For a man whom I have interviewed perhaps 9 times during my career, a man quite cerebral, because when we go into the villa to interview him, he never asks you what are the questions. He just arrives in the studio in the villa and sits down and asks you to shoot. Whatever question comes, he's ready to chest it. Not only is he that man who is cerebral in more ways than one, having served in the Specialized Engineering Corps of the Nigerian Army and fought for Nigeria's unity over the years. He's a man whose humor is easily one of the finest when you sit at his feet to listen. And I met him when I was 17 years old, studying at the Murtala College of Arts and Science, and he visited us as a head of state. It was incredible that he would be the one that I will then go on through my life to interview. We all know that he considers himself as Aide Kankwe. And when that is said and done, his many books also speaks to that intellectual rigor which he brings to the table as former President of the Federal Republic. In his foreword in this book, he describes the author as a man who is a seasoned military officer and has served at the heart of the national ordeal of Boko Haram. And he says this book is not just a narrative of conflict, but a reflection of service, sacrifice, and the enduring will of a people and their defenders. Permit me to welcome our very distinguished chairman of the occasion, former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Your Excellency, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
The author and the celebrant. Your Excellencies, Your Eminence, Your Royal Highnesses, distinguished members of offices you hold, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me start by giving rules for this occasion. Except those that I will mention now who are on the program, the keynote remark maker, the book reviewer, the author, and the remark of the special guest of honor. Those are 4. And then, of course, the remark of the President that will be given by the Minister of Defense. Everybody else that will speak is given only 5 minutes, except those 5 people. And if you are speaking more than 5 minutes, I will clear my throat. If you do not take note of that, if I clear my throat the second time, then you will be switched off. And I don't think you will want to have that. Now, we will leave here not a minute later than 1 o'clock. Your Eminence, agreed. You see, my first task is done. In my village, when I was growing up, we had a policeman, very tough, and they always give him a very difficult investigation to carry out. And when you go to him to beg, he was an illiterate, he never went to school. And when he wanted to show you that he's a no-nonsense man, he would say, my duty must be due. So my duty must be due. Your Eminence, my duty has been due. Your Excellencies, for me, it's really a great pleasure to be here. When General Irabor asked me to write the foreword to his book, I was extremely pleased. And I did not lose time at all to do it. And as I said, partly in my foreword, this is the first time we are getting an insider, an eyewitness person to say it as he sees it, as he knows it, as he understands it about Boko Haram and the situation of insecurity we have been in for over 15 years with 4 administrations. And I remember that this will not be the first time we will have security issue, military type in this country. We had a little bit not so militant before independence, but after independence, we have the thief riot. We had also the civil war and what you may call the pre-civil war. But the civil war lasted 30 months. And it was a great security situation for Nigeria. A situation that really nearly broke up the country. But it took us 30 months. And here we had Boko Haram. When in 2011, I went to Maiduguri to try and find out, after Boko Haram has attacked the UN office here in Abuja, if there's Boko Haram, what was it? Who were there? What are the objectives? What do they want? How can we satisfy them? I found, yes, there was Boko Haram. I found they were not really aiming for anything political. nor anything seriously religious. But in short, we were looking for a better life. And any other thing attached to that is a better life for them. Have we understood that? If we have we taken the steps that we should take? If we have, why are we, after 15 years, Boko Haram is now virtually becoming part of our life? Should we accept that? If we should not accept it, what should we do? How much do we know? Even from the other side and from this side, have we been active enough? Have we been proactive enough? I think we have to ask ourselves the necessary questions to be able to deal with this thing that is now becoming a monster within our country. And that was why I was very anxious, if I can put it that way, and I was delighted to write the foreword. And having written the foreword, I thought my job was done. And then General Irabor came and said, I have to be chairman. And I got a message, very clear message to General as a colleague. I said, are you not asking for overkill? If I have written the foreword, for me to come up and be chairman again, can you help me out? And I thought, I wrote the message in such a way that I would get excused. Then he came back. He was even stronger in the demand. And I said, well, I won't disappoint a young colleague. I will be here. I want to thank you again, as I have said, for the courage. Because you need courage to write the type of book you have written. And I also see, and you mentioned it in the video that we saw, that interrogation will be a strong word, but that's the word you use. Shouldn't we examine our past? What is in our past that is becoming debilitating, destructive to our present and obviously to our future? And I believe that is what you have tried to do in your book. There's normally the tendency, don't talk about it, let's leave it. And I believe that we must get out of that culture. Let us see it as it is. The history, the life of any nation, any family, any institution has the good, the bad, and the ugly. What is important, and our Master of Ceremony and Mistress of Ceremony made that point, is let us have it, let us look at it, and let us think about it. And when we have to find solution, we may even look beyond what we can see. Let us think beyond what is available. And I think that is what you have done here. And I will urge and appeal that those who have things to say about this particular issue of Boko Haram, we don't even know where Boko Haram stops and banditry starts and kidnapping begins. They are all mixed together. We can't go on this way. Surely we can't. And something must be done. And the beginning of something being done is this book, Scars, Nigeria's Journey and the Boko Haram Conundrum. I hope and I appeal that those who have things to say, who know things that we should know, come up. And by the time we put, even those who have been on the other side, who have been part or supporter of Boko Haram, for whatever Boko Haram is, let them write, let them speak up. And that way, we will be able to find solution to this ugly problem, which cannot continue to go without bringing it to an end. I want to thank you, General, for making me to write the forward and for bringing me up here, even when I pleaded with you that it would be an overkill. Thank you very much.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let's clap like we know what time it is. Thank you very much indeed. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, we have the former Chief of the Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awal Zubairu Gambo, in the House. We also have the representative of the Niger State Governor, Malam Umar Sanda, Special Advisor to the Governor on Policy and Strategy, Niger State Government, is here. We have the River State representative. He is represented here today by his deputy, Her Excellency Professor Mrs. Ngozi, who is here with us. We thank you for joining us. And of course, we have some media moguls in the house. Without the media, where will we be? We need the media to help us tell the world what we're doing today. Jibrin Babanda, my brother, the DG Voice of Nigeria, my brother, Dr. Mohammed Bulama, the DG FRCN, my brother, Azu Ashikwene, Editor of Leadership, Editor-in-Chief, and we have, of course, Dr. Fayemi, former Governor of Ekiti State, who also was a minister in this country. We truly welcome you to this very important event. But let's return to the chairman's very ennobling, very decisive commentary this morning. He was delighted to write the foreword, and then he was made to be the chairman, because General Irabor, they carry last. So he insisted, and our chairman accepted. As you know, the chairman takes no prisoners, so he has warned us that we must all leave this place at 1 o'clock. And if he's clearing his throat more than once, you are in trouble. During one of the interviews where I was privileged to interview Mr. Chair, I had asked him who had killed and murdered a political leader somewhere in the South. And Mr. Chairman said, even me, I've been asking that question. And he looked around the room and he said, Inspector General, who was sitting in the interview room but was not in the space, I've been telling you to find the people who killed this man. You need to bring me the information. This is the man who is vintage as ever, and as always, he has delivered a vintage chairman's remark. Please, let's hear another round of applause for him. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor to bring up the next speaker real quick. And this next speaker was Chief of Defense Intelligence, was Commander Brigade of Guards, was Chief of Logistics, Army Headquarters, oversaw the operation against Boko Haram, ISWAP insurgents in the Northeast. He helped to develop Nigeria's cybersecurity and intelligence frameworks. He's a believer in de-radicalization and advocates non-kinetic approaches to counterinsurgency. And he has a very strategic mindset. He also happens to be an architect. And therefore, for me, built one of Nigeria's most beautiful edifices, even though he knew he was leaving and was not going to stay in that office for long. He did what a patriotic Nigerian does, and he built the office of the National Security Advisor, which stands tall amongst buildings in Abuja, and also oversaw the building of the National Counterterrorism Center. Please give a warm Abuja welcome to our keynote speaker, General Babagana Mongono.
I'll try not to speak too long. Thank you. The representative of His Excellency the President in the person of the Honorable Minister of Defense, Chairman of the occasion, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, former President Goodluck Jonathan, His Eminence Sultan of Sokoto, also Bishop Matthew Hassan Koka, Etsunupe, my colleagues in the military, former governors, members of the National Assembly, and please pardon me if I'm not able to mention everyone. So, let me seek the permission of Mr. Chairman to pay tribute to someone who is not here with us today, a person who has contributed so much, so immensely to the development of our country, a person who died not too long ago, and that is Dr. Solomon Ehigiato Arase. I'm sure he would have been here for this very important occasion. A man I highly respect, a man who is truly patriotic. Having said that, let me thank my colleague in service, General Lucky Irabor, a person who has worked alongside me for so many years, not just in Nigeria, but also outside the shores of Nigeria. Your book, Scars, which is a very, very apt title for the book and the contents of the book, is a book that I believe should be on the bookshelves of all institutions, public and private, as long as it is in this country. I was invited for this occasion while I was outside the country with my family. General Irabor called me and asked me if I could go through the dummy of his book and subsequently attend this occasion. Of course, I had medical issues, but I said, Lucky, don't worry, I'll come. I'll try and compress whatever I'm doing, and I'll come. I read the book cover to cover twice and arrived in Nigeria on Friday. The book, as I said earlier, has a lot in it, not just looking at the central focus, which is the Boko Haram conundrum. There are other affiliated issues in relation to national security and, of course, the overall development of Nigeria. My thoughts are particularly in line with all the things General Irabor has put in this book. I'm not the book reviewer, so let me put that aside, but let me tell you from my experience, especially towards the latter part of my service to this country, I had the privilege of being involved in this very messy situation of Boko Haram. 2 weeks after I was appointed Chief of Defense Intelligence, on the 27th of July of 2009, Maiduguri exploded. And in less than 2 days, I found myself accompanying the then Chief of Defense Staff, Air Chief Marshal Paul Dike, and that was how the task given to the military started. And also later, by the time President Goodluck Jonathan came on board, we continued along the same process with another Chief of Defense Staff, Air Chief Marshal Oluseyi Petini. And I can tell you that, like General Irabor suggested in the book, Boko Haram is just a particular milestone in our journey. It's a terrible milestone, and the emotional aspects probably outweigh the physical consequences of this conundrum. But what I really want to bring into focus, into light here, in terms of national security, is the overall impact on the Federal Republic of Nigeria, going all the way back to when we became an independent nation. Today, 6.5 decades after independence, we continue to grapple with the same issues. They may be recurring in different coloration, but basically they are the same issues, and the 65 years that have come and gone are a reflection of times of tribulation generally for all of us as a nation. And I can tell you that in the 65 years, we've had perhaps a very small window of happiness, of prosperity, of progress and hope. And those 4 years, to my mind, hand on heart, would be from 1975 to 1979, when the leadership of the country decided to make a conscious effort to re-engineer the society, both in terms of domestic issues, national development, looking at agriculture, looking at iron and steel and all those issues, but more importantly, projected itself on the international stage, especially the effort Nigeria brought to bear on the liberation struggle for the liberation of Southern Africa, up to the point that Nigeria was recognized as a frontline state in the liberation of Southern Africa. Those 4 years in particular, the sun shone brightest on the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Subsequently, we started having problems, one government after the other, wrestling, grappling, manipulating, trying to overcome issues. And that is not to say that each government had not tried in its own way. But unfortunately, the issues at hand became so overwhelming that one problem led to another. Each situation overlapped the other. And when you take the aggregate of all these things, like I said, they kept coming back in different colorations, but basically they were issues, primarily issues to do with national development, insecurity, political structure, defective governance, and impaired national cohesion. While the various governments kept on wrestling with these issues, we had three other major issues which people might have taken for granted. Number one, the struggle for power and authority within the state. Number two, the issue of resource allocation. And number three, the fear of domination by the ethnic nationalities. So when you juxtapose these two mainstream issues, you see that governments continued to meander through a very difficult terrain. And obviously, the problems to the solutions to the problems faced by the government could not be handled solely by mainstream governmental agencies. The people needed to be brought along. And so, like General Irabor talks about Boko Haram, it is true that the military component, the military aspect, that physical issue is important, but it is only important up to a certain extent. Thereafter, other issues, political, social, etc., come into play. What I have taken from my experience in government, especially my last assignment, is that all the issues that have been bedeviling our nation can be overcome, but for one particular issue. And I want you to take this very, very seriously. This issue is the issue of impaired national cohesion. You can never achieve or address the issues of insecurity for as long as there's an absence of national cohesion. It is good that the general in his book went as far back as the troubles that afflicted us from post-independence up to the time of Boko Haram. Now, the issue of national cohesion is extremely important. It is not exclusive just to the Federal Republic of Nigeria as a pluralistic, multi-ethnic society with two main religions. But other countries have been able to find solutions. In our own case, sometimes one wonders whether it is deliberate on the part of our people, the various nationalities. And you begin to observe, you begin to see an intense detestation of one another, which is inspired, generally inspired, by that darkness in our nature, which is constantly goading us, nudging us, pushing us, and even compelling us to behave in a generally obnoxious, disagreeable, nasty, inconsiderate, and mean manner towards each other. And there's no reason for that. Now, it is this vulturistic disposition that has refused to allow us to think straight and let go of the past. So much so that over the last 6.5 decades, we've moved from one end of the spectrum to the other extreme end of the spectrum. And we've become, almost either by design or by default, we've become very, very embittered as a people, unforgiving, unappeasable, implacable, relentless, and even inexorable in our nasty attitude towards one another. Without us being able to address this very factor, and I'm not cursing this country, to see the promised land will be a very, very big problem for us. Therefore, it is up to not just government, but people within the society to have a rethink about this Cain and Abel situation in which we found ourselves. The chairman has given us a notice not to overflog the issue. But if there's one thing that might help all of us, is that nations have been able to overcome this problem. Obviously, you cannot legislate love and you cannot enforce affection. It is something that has to come from within the soul. If other countries have been able to do that, and Rwanda is a perfect example, I see absolutely no reason why we can't do this, why we can't get this monster, this great big monkey off our collective backs. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Major General Babagana Mohammed Mangunu, I am sure that there's a lot that you'd want to say to us. But clearly, like they say, there are also some things that you wanted to say that you didn't quite say, but I guess all of us should use our tongue to count our teeth. That monkey needs to get off our backs. Now to the substantive matter, and before I go there, let me just say that the Special Advisor, Intergovernmental Affairs, Honorable Hadiza Meikudi, representing Governor of Katsina State, Malam Diko Umaru Urada, is here with us. Would like to welcome His Excellency and the representative here. Please give them a round of applause if we can. It is now time for us to listen to some context, significance, and the enduring relevance of the book that we're here to receive. I'd like to honor and introduce a scholar, pastor, and intellectual. He is a prolific author, commentator, and a respected voice on ethics, governance, and human rights. Today, we're lucky he brings his generous intellect and deep literary sensibility and rigorous critique as he reviews the book, Scars, Nigeria's Journey and the Boko Haram Conundrum. Please let us welcome Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka, the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto.
Thank you, Henry. You know, I was moving very closely. There's something I need to say, which I shouldn't say, but I will say because the Sultan is here. You and Eugenia are Catholics. Unfortunately, if I ask you for tithe, for all the 3 events you've had this week alone, I will build a cathedral. But the problem with asking you for tithe is that every Monday morning, the Sultan and I have a debate because he insists that I should bring the tithe I collected on Sunday to him. And I've kept telling the Sultan, let's have a Sokoto diocese and Sultanate joint account. But he said, no, that one is not possible. Chairman is out of the place. Mr. President, please let me, for obvious reasons, as you can see, I'm not as tall as Monguno. Let me please stand on existing protocols. I'm going to do very quickly. I will not read my review in full, largely because time is already gone. But look, in this book, I see 3 sides of the brain of General Irabor. The first is maybe based on where he comes from. You know, all that Agbo, Ogwashuku, Asaba, Ibuzo area, it's a deeply Catholic environment. So, and one side of his brain, I suspect, has very deep Catholic content, and that comes across towards the end of the book. Then you have the military component, which speaks about the issues that are in the book. Then, of course, you have the intellectual component, which takes about 150 pages of the book, which is literally like reading the book by a professor of political science. I think that the sentiments that have been expressed, and General Monguno, like I said to you, 2 years ago, I published a book titled Nigeria's Elusive Quest for National Cohesion. And it's a collection of about 16 or 17 of convocation lectures I delivered across the length and breadth of Nigeria. What struck me, I never delivered one lecture twice, but what struck me when I was putting the papers together was that for over 10 years, I'd literally been obsessed with the theme of national cohesion. So you strike the point. That's why I said I'll keep clapping until you arrive. Now, this book, the first perhaps 100 and so chapters, the problem I had with the book is that it's actually only yesterday that I saw a copy of the book. General Irabor sent me the electronic copy. Unfortunately, the electronic copy, for economic reasons, because I'm a priest, I didn't want to waste too much of my money. So I reduced the type font. And that meant the pages were also severely reviewed. So in my review, my pages are not the same with the pagination in the book. Last night, I tried to review my review up till about midnight. And then I thought, should I go and start looking at the pages? It got too tedious, so I stopped. Anyway, this book is 285 pages. And President Obasanjo has already made the point on page 4 in italics when he said, I am hopeful that this contribution to the body of knowledge will serve as a value addition to the process of peace, security, and development of Nigeria. Everything else in the book is literally a detail. Now, the book has 14 chapters, and the 14 chapters are divided into 3 sections. The first section is titled The Ghost That Lives in Us. And then the second part is the Boko Haram Conundrum. And the third part is titled I Set on Tomorrow, which for me is perhaps the most important part of the book. Because not only is it futuristic, it admits the broken dreams of Nigeria. It admits all the mistakes that have been made, but tries to point at a picture. And when you read the book, you will see that General Irabor is not talking now with military arrogance about what the military has done, but he talks about the issues, the soft issues that we need to become a more humane society. Because I think he admits also in the book that Boko Haram, and I think it's a philosophical question, but it's also an intellectual question we can debate. Namely, is Boko Haram a cause or is it an effect? Is it a reaction to the brokenness, for the broken dreams, to all the convoluted environment that has been created in Nigeria in the last 60 years? How did we dredge up this group of human beings? They didn't come from another planet. They are our children, our grandchildren, and so on and so forth. So the author goes through all of this, and then I think he opens the book by telling a story. And I think what I felt when I read the book was, I thought, before I even started reading the book, that this will be a book about strategy, about plan, about all the gara-gara, all the shooting, all the plotting, but it's a completely different book that you can read very comfortably on a chair. But the first thing that struck me was when the general said he decided to visit his troops. And thank God that General Irabor is, as you can see him, slim, athletic, obviously not a very heavy man. Because when he got to his soldiers, it was very easy for them. They lifted him up with excitement. I mean, this broke military protocol. But I think just to tell you, this is the chief of general staff. He arrives, and these soldiers are so excited to see him that they lifted him up. And he said, and I quote, "The soldiers seized and carried me high, as if I had injected them with doses of oxytocin." I don't know what that is. That could make them pursue Boko Haram with bare hands. And then shortly after that, he encounters the soldiers. And then he looks around, and then he poses a more complicated question, because not a solution, because he's asking himself. Again, he says, how did we get here? What has gone wrong? Who will tell the political class of the despicable conditions of our forces? What remedies exist? Will this ever end? This is on page 4 of the book. And then right there, he admitted that the foundations upon which independent Nigeria was created as a political entity failed the test of national unity and cohesion. Page 23. The psalmist in the book of Psalms, Psalm 11, verse 3 says, foundations once destroyed, what can the righteous do? So the very fact that Nigeria continues to go one step forward, 3 steps backwards, 1 step forward, 3 steps backwards, and we are unable to resolve the issues that we started out with, suggests, and that is answered in chapter 2. When the general now says, there's a chapter, the title is, When the Shield Becomes the Sword. Quite a contradiction. How can a shield that is meant to protect you become the sword? And he says, in talking about Nigeria's fractured history, talking about the military coup, he says, and I quote, the author admits that the 1966 coup is a very sensitive issue because it has created myths, rumors, conspiracy theories around the origins and the plot of its victims. The coup, which was intended as a shield against post-independence political leadership failures, became the sword of chaos. So if you are looking for what is wrong in Nigeria and why Nigeria is still not working today, January 1966 is the scene of the crime. And for policemen, intelligence people who are involved in crime scene investigation, when you contaminate a crime scene, you lose evidence. Nigeria has refused, one, to return to the crime scene. And even when they've returned to the crime scene, they've become hesitant. And I think this is the point that our brother, the former NSA, has made. Now, the author goes on to talk about the Boko Haram conundrum. Now, the good thing about the book is that it doesn't discuss the theology of Boko Haram, which is a subject for another day. But he makes the point, even if it is in passing, about the circumstances, social, economic, political, that brought about this. And I will speak to it towards the end of my presentation. But please, let us not forget, in all this conversation about Boko Haram, and I think this is where the Nigerian government has gotten it wrong. First of all, let's not forget, we are the ones who gave them the name Boko Haram. They didn't say that they are Boko Haram. We are the ones who gave them the name. And because we gave them the name Boko Haram, we have become comfortable. It has affected our strategy. And that is why we're focusing on, they say they know like book, that the education, Western education is, but if you go back, and I've done a little bit of research on Boko Haram for quite some time. My brother and the director of the Kuka Center, Father Barkindo, here, his PhD thesis at the prestigious School of Oriental and African Studies was on Boko Haram. They've done extensive translations of the kind of things that Boko Haram was talking about. And until you access the kind of thing Boko Haram was talking about, you are shooting at the wrong board. Because the question which the chairman raised as to how 15 years later we are unable to resolve this issue means that you cannot cast out a devil that you have not named. Boko Haram says their name is Jama'atu Ali Sunnah Leader, Awati wal Jihad. That is their name. If you can't pronounce it, too bad. Because if you call me John, I won't answer. If you call me Philip, I won't answer. Even if I commit a crime and you took me to court and you try me and you secure a conviction, and you spell my name Matthew with 1 T, I can argue that this is not my Matthew. So we are calling them Boko Haram, but they have told you this is their name. And the English translation is that people committed to the prophet's teachings for the propagation of jihad. That's what is in their blood. So no matter how many bullets you shoot them with, and I will come to that point, they have told you this is what they are committed to. And in fairness to all of us, including those of us who are in this room, is there any Muslim who will say is not committed to the teachings of the Holy Prophet? The challenge is what context of preaching. Now, the author talks about the irony of Boko Haram. That is in chapter 6. And he addresses a lot of issues in chapter 6 and chapter 7, which also catalog the forces that led to the destruction, the federal government college in Buniyadi, the kidnappings in Chibok, Dapchi, the destruction of infrastructure such as the UN building in Abuja, assassinations of people like Jafar Adam in Kano, and so on. Now, the issue of Leah Sharibu and the Chibok girls, these are what the author refers to as the scars. And in my view, as long as Leah Sharibu is unaccounted for, as long as any of the abducted children in Nigeria is unaccounted for, every child that is unaccounted for is a scar on the face of Nigeria. So the point that the author makes, and I think that one of the mistakes, when this whole thing started, I published an article, I think it was in The Guardian, and the title of my article was, Bread, Not Bullets. And I was trying to make a point, to point out to the government of Nigeria that these issues require they don't require bullets. But from day one, fighting Boko Haram became a military operation. And because it was a military operation, fighting an idea, we have had problems with identifying the nature of the forces. And what is very interesting for me, I've not read military doctrine. But military doctrine is part of the propaganda machinery of the military. General Agwe is here, so I will not go too far on that regard. But you listen to the Nigerian military, they've had Operation Lafi Adole, that is wellness by force. Okay? How can you make Lafia by force? But we have Operation Lafi Adole, Operation Flush, Operation Restore Order, Operation Hadankai, Operation Zaman Lafia, Operation Rawankada, Operation Amni Fakad, Operation Yanchin Tafki, Operation Sharam Fege, Operation Lake Sanity, and so on and so forth. One operation fails, the late Patrick Itiwe of blessed memory. So when he came to, when the Northern Regional Government decided to bring all these Indians and Pakistanis after the Civil War. So many of them came. Some of them were hospital attendants, but they came to Nigeria as medical doctors. So Patrick Itiwe, because for Nigeria, if you see skin color, many of us, if you go to hospital now, many of my friends who have gone to London, they go to what's it called, the name of that street in London? Harley Street, Abi? How do you know? Okay, so you go to Harley Street, and then you now go to, the first time I took somebody to Harley Street. So when we got there, I looked at the name on the board, and the name was Mr. So-so and so. So I turned to him, I said, you travel all the way from Nigeria. Look at the man you have come to see. An ordinary, he's not even a doctor, he's Mr. I see Irabor is laughing because he knows what I'm talking about. I didn't know that with doctors, when you get to a particular point, you drop doctor and come down to Mr. But when you go there and you open the door and you see a Nigerian, first of all, there is one kind that you feel. But if you see an Indian, you feel better. If you see a white man, you feel more confident. Now, the question then is, if all this operation did not succeed, what happened? But I imagine, and I'm not going into that detail, but just saying, because we're dealing with textual evidence. If Operation Dole didn't succeed, why did we think Operation Hadankai will succeed? If it didn't succeed, why? These are questions. But once we turned Boko Haram into a military operation, it meant that you foreclosed the possibility of other sources of information. And what is more, for me, if you didn't understand, if Boko Haram is fighting a jihad, you are saying Lafi Adole, Boko Haram is saying Mutu Adole. That's the reality. You are fighting, hoping to go back home. Boko Haram people are fighting a jihad, and they have been told the number of virgins that are waiting for them in paradise. So they are waiting to die. There is a collision, and for me, as I said, part of this conversation must include an intellectual, and I don't want to improve on what President Obasanjo has said and what my brother has said. There now needs to be a very serious intellectual engagement away from military hardware to begin to deal with the soft issues of life and death. So let me run through, because I think I'm probably running out of time, and go to chapters 11, 12, and 13, where the author talks about what he calls eyes set on tomorrow. And this is where, when you read this section, that's why I say there is an aspect of it reads like the writings of a priest. Because it's not, you're not reading what a soldier is saying, but you're reading what a human being is. Because now, with experience, and with all the threats and all the scars, the author is now coming back to say, listen, there is another way. There's another way for us to be in peace. He deals with issues of security, national reconciliation, political orientation, patriotism, judicial reforms, structural reforms, good governance, are recommendations that the author makes if we are to reverse the ugly trends that Boko Haram has inflicted on us. But one of the things that you take away from this book, and I'll try to just make 3 or 4 points. One of the things you take away from this book is the urgency of what is called soft power. Professor Nye is dead now. He was the president of the Kennedy School when I was a student. He came up with this idea. You know, the military are talking about asymmetrical warfare and so on, but he was the one who developed that notion. But then later on, he realized that it's not, American guns cannot bring peace. So he came up with a concept that is called soft power. That is that, isn't it better to take on the human issues? And it's almost akin to a book written by, what's his name again? It's about globalization. And the guy makes a point about the ambassador of Israel. No, the American ambassador. When McDonald's opened an office in Tel Aviv. So they went for the ceremony. And then the American ambassador spoke eloquently about what McDonald's is all about. So when he finished, this little girl went to him, said, please, ambassador, can I get an autograph? And the man took the paper, was very excited. The ambassador took the paper, wrote his name, ambassador of the United States of America, and gave to the girl. The girl looked at it and threw it back at him. He said, I told you we're ambassador for McDonald's. You know, what am I doing with the ambassador of America? The idea of soft power, is the things are largely intangible. I visited South Africa, for example, and then I was invited to dinner by the late Archbishop of Cape Town. While we were here, he told me, he didn't tell me, but the food was very, very well cooked. All of a sudden he said, I want to introduce you to my cook. The lady came out wearing a jersey, a Super Eagles jersey. It turned out that she was the chairman of the Super Eagles Supporters Club in South Africa, in her locality. I went to a shop in New York, I bought a shirt. I remember it was a very cheap shirt. I think it was $40 or so. I went to the counter. The man looked at my card. He said, where are you from? I said, I'm from Nigeria. He said, I'm taking off $10 because of JJ Okocha. Soft power is about the things that are intangible. And as jollof rice is doing, and a lot of other things are doing. So the author makes some of these recommendations. But one of the things you take away from this book is one. You remember all of us, there was a general myth that said that people who went into the army were people who couldn't study physics, they couldn't become medical doctors, and so on and so forth. The high point of it, of course, is Fela's record. Zombie, oh zombie. Zombie no go turn, unless you tell her to turn. Zombie no go think, unless you tell him to think. But this book strikes at that notion. Because the sheer quality of the presentation shows you, you read the book, part of the book is like a political scientist professor in any Nigerian university. So it discounts a fact that has been hiding in plain sight. The sheer quality of minds that are in the Nigerian military. And this is why I want to add my voice to the voice of the chairman to say that the problem still, why are Nigerian leaders not writing their biographies? President Obasanjo already showed you people that way when he published My Command. And he has relentlessly continued to tell stories, good, bad, or ugly. Now, this book, but many Nigerian leaders say, well, we don't want to open old wounds, forgive and forget. We have forgiven. We cannot sleep because the dreams of Nigeria that we dreamt about is becoming a nightmare. Because there is a saying in Hausa, please don't, it's rather vulgar. That it says, but in Kashi Achiki, baya hana nyungwa. Sake of say, go toilet, mean say hunger no go come. Nigeria has decided that because you are leaving feces in your stomach, you are hoping not to get hungry. And Nigeria says, we don't want trouble. We are already in trouble. It's how to get out of the trouble that is the problem. So this author has made a major contribution. And I think that I encourage other people to do the same. I want to end by making, as I said, 3 points. The first, the Nigerian military must be inspired by this book to also create a sense of urgency about returning to the barracks so that their honor, their integrity, their professionalism can be guaranteed. Soldiers after soldiers have written to say that they are often better off under civilian government than under military government. However, the presence of the military in 36 states out of 36 states in Nigeria makes the notion of democracy an oxymoron. We cannot be in a democracy and be surrounded by soldiers. Because increasingly, psychologically, people are beginning to see the military as an army of occupation. It shouldn't be so. Many people who have been to America, have been to Israel, I've had all kinds of stories. One of my friends, a priest, said they went to the United States of America. They were just passing through the airport. They sat down. All of a sudden, my friend has never even been to America, but they were wearing Nigerian military uniform. He said this old woman came and greeted them. And then she was with her 6-year-old granddaughter who was passing. He called her back. Men in uniform. The poor girl has to now greet. He said they went to a restaurant as they were finishing their course, preparing to come back to Nigeria. He said there were about 6 or 7 of them, all in military uniform. They had their dinner, they drank their wine, they drank their champagne, it was a good night out. They called for the bill. By the time it was time to go, most people had left the restaurant. They called for the bill. The restaurant owner, who has never been to Nigeria, doesn't know who they are, said your bill has been paid for. He said, by who? Somebody said, men in uniform. We need to get to that point when Nigerians can see a soldier and give him the respect that is his due. But if there is a psychological feeling that we are competing over the same thing, we are competing to enter the same bus, it shouldn't be so. Secondly, I believe that Nigeria needs to deal with practical issues, because the issue of Boko Haram is not an issue of victory, it's not an issue of defeat, it's not an issue of conquer, it's not an issue of degradation. These are military concepts. The question we must ask ourselves is, what will the end of Boko Haram look like? Because we are dealing with a concept, Boko Haram, because they don't want, and I'd like to be provocative here. Is the end of Boko Haram the beginning of a victory? Is the defeat of Boko Haram a victory for Boko Halal? Because in Islam, there are two things. Something is either right or it's wrong. So there's Boko Haram, but there should be Boko Halal. Because if you go to buy meat, if meat is not halal, if it's not haram, if it's halal, a Muslim can eat. If it's haram, he will not eat. So are we going to see a Nigeria that after Boko Haram has been defeated, Boko Halal will now take over? In which case, a certain kind of intellectualism can displace this whole culture in Nigeria that is popular. Those of you in power think we don't know. We know, we hear, we read. Marabouts, witch doctors, shamans have become a substitute for intellectual forecast of what wars should be like and what outcomes should be like. We are confusing the professionalism and the intellectual components of fighting a war by thinking that some blind sheikh sitting somewhere or some pastor who is sitting somewhere. Hey, we are back to those days when we were playing football. If we go, they beat you 5-0. Goalkeeper will say, when ball was coming, it's fire that I saw. So military fighting a war of this nature must become very professional. And then, of course, I pose a question. Is there a war room in the villa? Is there a war room in the villa? Because there ought to be a war room where senior military officers, intelligence officers are sitting and thinking, what might tomorrow look like? What will tomorrow look like? If there isn't, I think there should be a war room. Because national security is not about, right now Nigerians think national security is about the day the guns will die. But national security, because of the militarization of the discourse, national security is about guns, it's about bullets. But in reality, all these floods that are taking our people away in Niger, Esonupe, my sympathy. Shouldn't governors have foreseen that floods are a threat to Nigeria, a national threat? It's a national security issue. If the rains are not coming, threat of hunger is a security problem. So we should see security, therefore, in a much more complex manner. And then, of course, there is the point, and I would like to use this to speak to my Muslim brothers, especially from northern Nigeria. Islamism, that is what is called political theology. In Christianity, is It could be the same thing, but political theology, that is the instrumentalization and the skewed usage and manipulation of religion as a tool for governance. Nigeria is in a democracy. And there is a way that good Muslims can participate in democracy and good Christians can participate in a democracy. But the idea that we want to use religion to enforce power is what Islamism is. It has become destructive to the religion itself. Okay? Suddenly now, in this day and age, we are here. I live in Sokoto. One day, I think we were talking, and the Sultan even corrected, we were talking about the number of people, because everybody is talking about they're killing Christians. Yes, they are killing Christians. But when are we going to come to a point in which they are killing Nigerians? So Islamism threatens to destroy the foundations of Islam as a sacred religion. And we must collectively insist, because this is where Boko Haram started from. And this is why the danger, northern politicians, please remember, okay, Meitasine, what happened in 1982? The relationship between Abubakar Rimi and Muhammadu, who became Meitasine. Again, we give these names. The man's name was Muhammadu Marwa. But Nigerians call him Meitasine, whereas the man's name is not Meitasine. The only thing was that Sine in Hausa means to curse. And because the man was always saying, if you are not doing God, curse on you. People started calling the one who is always cursing people. They say, Meitasine, that is the guy who is always cursing people. In the vocabulary, in the literature today, that is the name by which he's called. But it was a result of the breakdown of his relationship that began the process of Meitasine and the violence it brought. Secondly, what is now Boko Haram? Let's not forget the killing of Muhammad Yusuf, who was a friend of the governor, and the relationship broke down. The point I'm making here is that we religious leaders and the political actors must also come to terms with the fact that there are boundaries. And if these boundaries are not respected, you can pay the imam, you can pay the marabout, you can pay the bishop, you can pay whatever money you want to. Good governance is not about how much we are dispensing. Finally, the Egyptians dealt with Islamism when it reared its ugly head. The people of Algeria in 1993 dealt with Islamism when it raised its ugly head. There are so many of us, there are Boko Haram sympathizers, they are not immediately available to us. But we know that there are people with fat bank accounts who are funding them. Maybe there was a time it didn't matter. And I'm happy again, the former NSA made the point. We've come to a point in which we should be at the point in which injury to one is injury to all. Right now, it's possible if they say, oh, they burnt a mosque in Ibadan. Oh, please, okay, Arsenal, yeah, I'm watching a football match. They say they killed 20 Muslims in Ibadan. But if they tell you they killed 20 Christians, yeah, Muslim, too bad. So we must work towards a point, because Islamism still poses a serious danger. Finally, during his inauguration, and please, may I make a request, sir, with due respect, can we please stand up for just 2 seconds, please? Can we please all stand up? All right, please sit down. May the soul of President Buhari and the souls of all the faithful departed through the mercy of God rest in peace. Please sit down. I say so because he was the one who appointed General Irabor. So without him, General Irabor may not have written this book and will not be here. But on May 29, 2015, President Buhari, in his famous "I belong to everybody, I belong to nobody" speech, said that, quote, and I quote, "Boko Haram is a typical example of small fires causing big fires. An eccentric and unorthodox preacher and a tiny following by his extrajudicial killing." That is the killing of Yusuf, the beginning of the crime. 10 years later, the embers of Boko Haram fires have not gone out yet. And Nigeria must still answer the question as to how a gallant military that fought a civil war in 30 months, it routed the rebels in Liberia and Sierra Leone in record time. Yet, over 15 years later, we are unable to put out the fires, the small fires. There is death of passion in the Nigerian military, and General Irabor deserves our commendation for opening up what I hope can become a major phase in mapping out how to rescue our country from the clutches of the devil. I owe, and all of us owe him, a debt of gratitude. But whether we resolve these scars by plastic surgery, or whether we can, like a Nigerian musician, Olumide, call Seal, who is famous not for his being handsome, but the kind of scars. If you see his face, you think it's an elephant, a leopard, tear his face. But he has turned his scars into something beautiful. So these scars, whether we resolve them by plastic surgery, I don't know. But I thank you, General, for the invitation. God bless you.
Wow. It's always the case anytime Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka has to deliver an address, and this book review, I think, has gone beyond extraordinary. We need to applaud him and give him the deserved round of applause. Like we will say, he has spoken truth to power. Many things to take away from his presentation. Okay. Right. So after all of the handshaking, it is at least very good to know that there are a few things that Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka doesn't know anything about. He mentioned oxytocin, and he says he doesn't know what oxytocin is. At least, my Lord Bishop, you can take it. They say oxytocin is a stimulating hormone. It is meant for stimulating childbirth, to stimulate the uterus of women. So I don't know why General Irabor has referenced that. I'm not sure that they're injecting the soldiers with oxytocin, because that may account for excessive excitement and contractions. But indeed, as we've been told, it was the French writer and politician Victor Hugo who says to us that one can resist the invasion of an army, but one cannot resist the invasion of ideas. And that is the platform on which this book rests. But before I go on to bring on our next speaker, let me very quickly, with the permission of our chairman, recognize the representative of the Secretary to Government of the Federation. His name is Babatunde BB, Senior Technical Advisor and Head of Think Tank, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Sir, we welcome you. I'd also like to recognize the gentleman representing the Governor of Bayelsa State, His Excellency Doye Diri. His name is Brigadier General Eric Anyai. So for both of you, we give greetings and we welcome you. Of course, this event will be amplified out of here by the media. And so I'd like to welcome Adebayo Bodunri, a director in the News Directorate of Dark Communications. Thank you and welcome. And also let us recognize Barrister Charles Odenibo, CEO, The Media Today International. Thank you. You want to give them a round of applause? If you want, yes, they'll be happy. Great. We are told that to defend a country, you need an army. But to defend a civilization, you need education. I think this was what was playing in the mind of our next speaker, whom I'd like to welcome now to speak to us. Not only was he president, he has gone on to become regional leader, contributing to electoral reforms and outcomes in defense of democracy, safeguarding citizens and ensuring ethical governance. He understands Nigeria and has first-hand insights into the Boko Haram scourge. He set up the Victim Support Fund at the height of the Boko Haram scourge, and of course is known, amongst many other things, for setting up the Al-Majri schools in Nigeria. Boko Haram predated his assumption of office as president, but he took office and its activities were most manifested, I think, during his government. Ladies and gentlemen, with your kind applause, it is with great respect that I'd like us to welcome President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan.
Thank you so much. I will not go through a lengthy protocol because of the time, but there are some few people that we need to recognize. Let me sincerely appreciate our president being represented by the Minister of Defense. Let me appreciate the chairman of this occasion, our daddy, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. Let me also appreciate the person who brought us here and the wife, General Irabor. Thank you for gathering us to celebrate this book. The keynote speaker, let us appreciate the former NSA. We're happy. And let us appreciate the book reviewer, Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka. Whenever Kuka is to speak, I'm always pleased because it's more of a scholar than a bishop. I have to thank all of you who are here, serving ministers, former ministers, serving governors, deputy governors, and former governors, serving members of the National Assembly and former members of the National Assembly. But let me really appreciate our traditional institutions led by the Sultan of Sokoto and other traditional leaders are here with us. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I will not take much of your time because we've listened to eloquent speakers, we've listened to the chairman, we've listened to the book reviewer, we've listened to the former NSA. So I don't really have much to add. But let me first appreciate the man, Irabor, General Irabor. He's really a fine officer. And it's somebody who, the little I know, doesn't play politics with military. After leaving office, when I was in office, I thought that the military services don't play unnecessary politics. Well, we know there's politics everywhere, but they play the politics of within the army, not the kind of politics we play. But after leaving office, I realized that quite a number of professionals in the security services play dirty politics. But General Irabor is one person that does not get into that. White is white, black is black. Thank you, you're a gift to this country. And the title of the book is quite interesting. Scars and the Boko Haram Conundrum. It is interesting because, you know, when I was in office, and one of the major scars on my government, and it would be on my face, and like Bishop Kuka said, no plastic or cosmetic surgeon can remove it, is the issue of the Chibok girls. It's a scar that I will die with. But later on, people may know a little more details. And that's also to do with the Boko Haram. What do they really want? Of course, our chairman raised the issue when interviewed some of them, and they gave him some perspective. But probably one day, I pray that some of the Boko Haram leaders may be literate enough to document what they have done, so that people will really know what they wanted. Because it's like the story of the Nigerian Civil War. If you read one of the books, My Command, I think it's one of the first books that came out from President Obasanjo, because he was there. Then Ojukwu wrote his own, Because I Am Involved. So when those who were involved in something say it, you get a different perspective. If you go through a research, interview a lot of people, yes, you'll get part of the story, but you will never get the full story of the Boko Haram. Because I was there, the Boko Haram started 2009 when I was the vice president to late Irabor. Of course, I took over 2010 for 5 years, battling with the Boko Haram until I left. I thought that immediately I leave, within a reasonable time, late General Buhari was going to wipe them out, but till today, the Boko Haram is still there. So the issue of Boko Haram is a little more complex than sometimes we can conjecture. In 1999, when Obasanjo became a president, we know we had some issues in the Southwest. But government was able to bring it down because there was a clear focus, there was clear reason, and government was able to. Then we had issues in the Niger Delta. And when I became the vice president, one of the major things I did was to visit the most dangerous camp of the militants in the Niger Delta. I remember when we flew down to Warri, by the time we got to the waterfront to take boats to that camp, they sent information to us that anybody following me must not carry a weapon. My ADC, my CSO, that nobody should carry a weapon. In fact, the Commissioner of Police of Delta State said, Vice President, no, you will not go there. The State Director of SSS to say, no, I will not go. I told them I will go. So even my officers, my ADC, my CSO, and so on, they handed over their guns to the CP and the SDS of Delta State, and none of them carried weapon. When we landed at the camp, these boys lying up one this way, one road this way, with their assault rifles, just facing the bush, not even looking at my direction as if there was nothing happening. We passed through them, sorry. We had a meeting with their leaders and so on. We had spent almost 1 hour there. When we came back, that was the beginning of solving the Boko Haram, the Niger Delta crisis. And we're able to get through. At least now, there's a reasonable pace in the Niger Delta. If you, like Bishop mentioned, the 82 and 83, when we have the Maitasinde religious crisis in this country. From research, the Maitasinde religious crisis, when some of them were arrested and analyzed and interviewed, they came from parts of the Sahel area within Nigeria and outside Nigeria, where we had major drought within that period, and the river pest disease that wiped out so many cattle. And so many young people from these areas migrated to the cities, Maiduguri and others, and they had no skills and nothing to do. And they were able to be recruited and cause havoc. Luckily, it was a military government then, so when the military intervened, they were able to bring it down because there was a clear reason. A reason of young people who were looking for survival, but they had no skills, and so on and so forth. So if you put all these things together, you begin to say, this Boko Haram, why is it that from 2009 till date, we've not been able to resolve the crisis of Boko Haram? So just like Bishop Kuka tried to raise some fundamental issues. Yes, we need to approach it differently. The issue of carrots and the stick may be adopted. And yes, probably they need something, but if you look at the weapons they use and you value the weapons, then you know that these are not hungry people. So the soldiers that sometimes capture some of the weapons will see better. But the weapons they use, the ammunitions they use, sometimes they even have more ammunitions than our soldiers. So it doesn't show that they're hungry people. And where are these guns, sophisticated weapons coming from? And you begin to see that the external hands are also involved, especially when I was a president. So it's a bit complex. And it's not a matter of a single story. But I believe as a nation, we have to look at the concept of Boko Haram and approach it differently from the conventional approach. I believe one day we'll get over it. So once again, let me thank General Irabor for this, because I always appreciate people who clearly document events, so that maybe sometimes when we write our own, we'll borrow from your documentation. And I believe that all the military officers who were involved in this Boko Haram saga should be able to give us information about what the Boko Haram stood for. If it is only about hunger, because we tried different options, I don't need to give a sermon. It will look as if I am trying to defend my own government. That will come up later when we will document, we write our books. But I believe we took different options, we set different committees. We tried our best within that 5 years that I was there. I believe late Buhari too must have tried his best, because one of the committees we set up then, the Boko Haram nominated Buhari to lead their team to negotiate with government. So I was feeling that, oh, if they nominated Buhari to represent them and have a discussions with the government committee, then when Buhari took over, it could have been an easy way to negotiate with them, and they would have handed over their guns, but it was still there till today. I believe the government, luckily the defense minister is here. The service chiefs all are represented here. I think we will need a slightly different approach, and God willing, we will be able to resolve this crisis. I thank you all.
Excellency, the representative of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Honorable Minister of Defense, invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's always an incredible honor to listen to a man referred to as an international statesman whose life reads like a movie, former deputy governor, former governor, former vice president, became His Excellency, former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Former President Goodluck Jonathan has made his intervention, and there are so many food for thought within that intervention that we can take to the bank. Let's give him another Abuja round of applause. Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, taking a point from the comment that has been made by my Lord Bishop about how deeply Catholic myself and Dr. Nzeku are, a very deeply Catholic woman who supports a lot of work to do with children and a lot of work to do with anything that has to do with national development, is Dame Dr. Adora Omeji, Group Managing Director of Zenith Bank. And she has sent a worthy representative in the person of Mr. Akwarando, General Manager, to join us here today. We truly thank you. I'd like to put on record that former chiefs of defense staff are here in the room with us. As always, General Irabor was intentional, and the top military brass of Nigeria are here. Former service chiefs are also here, and those who have held top-level commands here. As has been mentioned by the book reviewer, in the United States, those who have served in various military positions, and any soldier passing is told, we thank you for your service. If they are on a plane, people give up their seats. If they are in a bus, people give up their seats. If they go to eat and they are in uniform, people pay for them. Like our book reviewer, my Lord Bishop, has said, we need to do more. We can't see everything. We only see a fraction of the work that they do to keep us safe. Let's give all those who have served this nation and still serving a big round of applause. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, a couple of years ago I did some work for the United Nations office in charge of drugs and another United Nations office that is collaborating with the National Counterterrorism Center in Nigeria. The United Nations Office for Disarmament Affairs and the National Counterterrorism Center collaborates with the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime and the United Nations Office of Counterterrorism. And the main issue for that gathering was de-radicalization of young people who are being recruited into the various insurgency groups, because it's quite easy to manipulate the minds of young children. And so there is 1,385 children recruited by Boko Haram between 2017 and 2019, and at least 8,000 children have been recruited by Boko Haram and a splinter group, ISWAP, and around 60% of those affected by the Boko Haram are youths. And the work that is going on is that this work of ensuring that children are not radicalized is front and center between the Office of the National Security Advisor and the Office of the Chief of Defense Staff. But a man who has served in the military, the very highest level, has said, quote, "There is the need for Nigerians to see one another as one and as well continue to be our brother's keeper at all times. Our unity is not negotiable in Nigeria. We are one and will continue to be members of the same family." This quote comes from His Eminence. I would like now to introduce him. His Eminence Alhaji Muhammadu Saad Abubakar III, the 20th Sultan and spiritual leader of Nigerian Muslims, President General of the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, an advocate of peace, justice, and ethnic harmony, and also a co-chair of the Nigeria Interreligious Council and President General of the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs. Your Eminence, sir, it's time for you to address us. Please give him a round of applause as he makes his way up here.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على النبي الكريم. I recognize the President, very ably represented by the Minister of Defense, the Chief Celebrant, whom we are all here for, and his very strong, able wife, his best part, I won't say better part, his best part, the two musketeers, two presidents, one head of state, then president, one president for 5 years, one a title holder of Sokoto, and the chairman of this occasion. You are shaking your head. I recognize the book reviewer and all serving retired top military, paramilitary officers here, ably led by the Chief of Defense Staff, our Sokoto boy, General Chris Musa. I greet you in the best form of greeting. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I don't know how many minutes I'm given because it's not stated, but even when the chairman said we should take only 5 minutes. He did not include me because he cannot give what he doesn't have. And I will take my time because this is a very, very important program in this country and in the military. And I would like to thank all of you who turned up because the attendance here really showed how serious we are in overcoming the insecurity problem in this country by honoring General Irabor's book and being here. I've seen so many service chiefs retired. I've seen IGs. I've seen so many other people that I know honoring the invitation of Lucky. Lucky, you are very lucky that you can bring this crowd to a book launch that is so important to us. For some of us who have been in the military and are still in the military, we know the importance of your book. And when you call me and then send me the letter, I do not hesitate to accept to be part of this program because of its importance. The 5 minutes given to me by the chairman of the occasion, I will add the minutes taken by the two masters of ceremony. After each speaker has spoken, they will take about 5 more minutes to speak. So plus all the minutes Eugenia and Henry took, I will add those minutes to my own. I would like to thank the book reviewer whom we were together just some couple of days back in Sokoto with General Obasanjo at a very important program. And I would like to also try to, I'm not going to say anything about insecurity or the way to end insecurity or whatever it is. No. I want to adopt all what's been said from the beginning of this program, because these are the ways and means of resolving such issues. But what President Jonathan said, I was expecting him to make a very strong comment about how he really dealt with the issue of Boko Haram, which he used both the military and myself and other stakeholders. But maybe he decided not to because a book is coming after that from him on how I dealt with Boko Haram issue. And let me also correct you, like I'm happy to hear that the Boko Haram is not really Boko Haram, that's not their name. I'm glad to hear that from somebody who is not me. If I were the one who is saying those, somebody would say yes, because I know them. And that's not their name, because I know that they never claimed Boko is Haram. If you have listened to some of their audio, which I had privilege of listening to, they said they didn't say Boko is Haram, because so many of them have also gone to school. And they said you cannot open somebody's brain and remove the education in his head. So he had only acquired that knowledge, that education. He's an engineer, he's a doctor, he's whatever it is. What they are saying is that those who have gone to school and are educated are leading bad governments. What they are after is the issue of bad governance, because they want to be free, they want to do whatever they feel they should do. And I want to correct, and I'm glad this is carried on TV, live. I want to correct this wrong notion that people, non-Muslims, hold about jihad. Jihad is not to kill a non-Muslim by a Muslim. Jihad means to strive. And in whatever you do in life, you strive to be the best you can be. You strive to be a good Muslim. You strive to be a good Christian. You strive to be a good farmer or a good engineer. So jihad is not to kill a non-Muslim. That's a wrong notion people have been airing out for decades. And I wrote a foreword on a book. Written by very high stakeholders across the world, published by the King of Jordan. And I wrote that forward, and I believe that book will be brought back again. It was about 13, 14 years ago. And it talked about the uses and abuses of jihad. Because at the back of the book, I remember very well, because they said one of the most fearsome word a non-Muslim would hear is the word jihad. And it's true, because people have already given it a very negative connotation, but it is not. And so let's live here with that notion that, look, jihad is to strive, it's not to kill a non-Muslim. Because as we know as Muslims, it's in the Holy Quran, you cannot take somebody's life without due process. You cannot kill somebody. Because they said to kill a life, take a life or kill somebody, it's like taking the whole of humanity. That's without being following due process. But these are things that scholars will talk to you about. So let's live here with this notion that jihad is not to kill, because we are living peacefully with one another. I'm a Muslim and I know I'm a Muslim. If you're a Christian, you know you're a Christian. Then when we understand one another, we are better equipped to deal with one another. Because I know who you are, you know who I am. There's nothing you can do to me. There's something I can do to you. Understanding is the most important thing. We understand one another and live peacefully in this country. And I want to also correct the notion that when Bishop Kuka talked about Islamism, you use some words maybe in a wrong manner, or somebody might feel Islam is negative. Islamism is not aimed at seizing power at any particular forum. Islam is after good governance in society. And whoever is there, President Goodluck Jonathan was president, we gave him 100% support throughout his presidency. Nobody said anything negative about it. He knows that and he's here. So Islamism is not what you think it is. It's a wrong notion that you are bringing up here that is to seize power. It's not to seize power. We're after good governance. September 2019, I gave a talk on Islam and good governance in Nigeria. President Buhari was just going in for his second term. After I finished my talk, the following day, papers carried it, I was aiming at President Buhari's second term, because I said things that a good Muslim should do as a leader and what he should not do. And these are written. So we have a code. We have a code of conduct. We have ways and means of life, the Holy Quran and the hadith of our most noble Prophet Muhammad and the consensus of the ulama, that's the clerics. These are three things guiding us. Anybody coming outside this to say things that he really doesn't know about is not speaking, it's not for Islam. Because Islam abhors extremism. Islam abhors extremism. You cannot be an extremist and then claim to be a good Muslim. So let's learn some of these issues, and then when we're talking about insecurity or security in our great country, we have to be careful in how we say things, how we present them. And another particular paper I'm talking about, I gave Bishop Kuka a copy, Islam, what Islam means in good governance. So let's come closer as one big family with different backgrounds and forge ahead to make this country a better country. Because there's nothing anybody can do about a Christian or a Muslim being who he is. Because when we are coming to the world, we didn't beg Almighty Allah to bring us into the world as Muslims or Christians or Jews or whatever it is. He decided in his own right to bring into the world as a Christian or a Muslim or whatever it is. We must learn to respect one another. We must learn to live with one another. We must learn to help one another, because we must be our brother's keepers. And so many Christian leaders here know that. It's in the holy books also that we must be good to ourselves. And I want to thank the chairman of the occasion for coming to Sokoto once more. And I assure you all, we are here to do our best to help our governments at all levels, from the presidency to the states, to National Assembly, to our very gallant military officers and soldiers, because we know what they are doing, we know how they are doing things in a very difficult manner, because I'm a privileged person to sit with them always to discuss what they do, from the CDS down to the service chiefs, and we exchange notes. So people that you sit together with and discuss, you can never be against them. So I count myself as one of them, and I'll forever be one of them, because let me correct people, generals don't retire. Because when you start calling Irabor general retired, no, he's not retired. He's a general and a first-star general. If Irabor wears his uniform now and march into the field, he'll be fighting insurgents. You can see him how smart he is. So generals don't retire. But I want to commend our armed forces. You are there doing the difficult one for us. And we thank you and we continue to pray for you, to urge you to continue to do your best. Don't look back. Forget about the comments of other people, the not so good people that always see you as government tools. You are not government tools, you are national tools. You are not for president or governors or whatever. You are for the nation. That's what you should know in whatever you are doing, whenever you're going for operations. You can name 100 operations, it doesn't matter. Those people don't know how you change nomenclature of operations. It's to suit the environment, nothing more. So it's not that you have failed, you have not failed. You are still doing your best. Continue to do your best, and we urge our political leaders, the Minister of Defense is here, give them the best you can give them, and inshallah, we will not eliminate insurgency, but we will use it to the maximum that we can. I mean, to the minimum level that we can go about doing our normal lives. So finally, I would like to also, as somebody just mentioned quietly, maybe do we put together all our service chiefs, both military, paramilitary, lock them in a room, tell them, bring out a solution on how do we end this? Because experiences matter. You cannot buy experience. Somebody who was chief of defense staff 10 years ago, 20 years ago, will still have, how did you do your own? How did you succeed? How did you become short of total success? When you sit down and discuss this, I think you will come up with a very, very important document that you will just march to the commander-in-chief. He will give you the marching orders, give you the resources, and the country will be a much better country. So we thank you most sincerely, and we thank Lucky and your wife. Wish you all the very best, and I wish you also safely back to your various destinations at the end of this program. And I greet you in the best form of greeting. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As always, I tell people, let's tell ourselves the home truth. Let's not hold back. Let's know that, yes, we have conscience. And Unfodio said, conscience is an open wound, only truth can heal it. Thank you.
His Eminence has spoken, not just as a spiritual leader, but he has also spoken as a general who has worked in the military. He has given commendation to the armed forces, and he has illuminated some of the terms within his spiritual realm. Let's give another round of applause to His Eminence, please. The region of Nigeria that has suffered most from Boko Haram is the northeast region of Nigeria. The managing director of the Northeast Development Commission is represented by Professor Abba Gana Mohammed, head of research and planning. We thank you for being here. Your Excellencies, the representative of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Minister of Defense, Excellencies, former presidents of the country, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for staying the tide and for supporting this book. A man who just rose from the conference, the highly successful conference of African Chiefs of Defense Staff, is a man who is Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff. He galvanized that meeting and is the maiden one, and it was highly successful. Please help me welcome Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, General Chris Musa, who would now deliver his intervention.
Thank you very much, Auntie Eugenia. Well, where am I to start from? It seems I'm the one in the uniform today, but like it was said, generals never retired. Every general that is here has the uniform deep down inside. For me, it's a privilege to be here today with the wonderful personalities here. Shows the love, the respect we have for General Irabor for putting this book in. Please permit me to stand on the already established protocol because time, I think, has already gone so far. It gives me great honor and profound joy to stand before you on this special occasion, being the launching of the book titled Scars, Nigeria's Journey and the Boko Haram Conundrum. The author, General Lucky Elonye Onyenuche Irabor, not retired, our immediate past Chief of Defense Staff, and an icon of the armed forces of Nigeria. Today is significant as it also marks the celebration of General Irabor's 60th birthday, a milestone that reflects not only the grace of God, but also a lifetime of service, sacrifice, and enduring patriotism. General Irabor is a soldier's soldier. His name resonates with courage, discipline, intellect, and integrity. We say thank you, sir. I stand here today not only as his successor, but also as one who has benefited immensely from his towering example, steady mentorship, and inspiring leadership. His footprints across our nation's military history remain indelible, particularly in the fight against insurgency and terrorism. And this book is what we're going to use as our précis. I had the privilege of also being the theater commander when he left years later. I was there for about 19 months. And the book captures everything that's going on, everything that has been wrong, and the solutions that are required to move forward. So it is for us as a nation to look at this clearly, faithfully, truthfully, in order to find solution to what is going on. And as it has been said, it is not only a military solution. From my experience, the military solution is just about 25-30% of the solution. General Mongunu was here and he spoke about national cohesion. As long as we don't love ourselves as Nigerians, or we don't look at ourselves as our brothers' keepers, this will continue. If we want this to end, we must learn to live together as brothers and sisters. And it is not magic, it must be deliberate. Countries have evolved over time because they've looked at it and realized, we have seen countries like Singapore, with all the challenges they had, they stood and said, look, it's either we stand and die or we walk and develop, and they have walked and they have developed. If we want to move forward, we must deliberately, consciously make Nigeria great. No one else will do it. I'm sure we remember not long ago, some people have prophesied that by 2015, Nigeria was going to disintegrate. It's not just a mere say. They had what they were looking for. And I'm sure they're surprised that Nigeria is still standing and still standing strong. It shows the resilience of us as Nigerians. But we must go further than that. Boko Haram can be defeated. It is a whole of society approach to the solution. It's not a one-off thing. Like I said, it must be deliberate. Where we got to where we are today, when it started, it should have been nipped in the bud. Asymmetric warfare is a different kind of warfare to conventional kind of warfare. Conventional, you are dealing with states. Asymmetric warfare, the enemy is within. It could be your brother, it could be your father, your mother. The enemy is within. And identifying him is one aspect. And because they are dealing with ideology, it's not written on the forehead, it's within his mind. So you must find solution to the mindset of the people that are doing these things. And also look outward, because there are also people from the outside that are ready to ensure that they continue to succeed and the country continues to fail. We must not allow them succeed. And I'm sure working together, we will continue to win. His footprints across our nation's military history remain indelible, particularly in the fight against insurgency and terrorism. Even in retirement, he has continued to add his quota to solving the security challenges facing us as a country. His contribution is obvious in the launch of all this important book today. We just had the African Chief of Defense Staff conference, and he was there to bring his vast knowledge and experience to bear. And I can tell you it made a lot of difference, because all the chiefs of defense staffs that came, over 32 of them from African countries, knew that we as Africans need to take the challenges, need to take what is going on our own without having to wait or rely on any other person from somewhere to do that for us. It's on this note that I will also be giving some of my views on the way forward for national security in Nigeria. As we're aware, the security challenges across our country today is multifaceted and dynamic. Therefore, our national security approach must be dynamic and inclusive, engaging all sectors of society through a whole of society strategy. The current view of national security being strictly a responsibility of the security agencies need to be readdressed. We also need to strengthen our institutions such as the judiciary to speed up the process of bringing culprits to book. Furthermore, the capacity of all security agencies must be persistently enhanced to ensure that they all play their statutory roles professionally and diligently. The family institution is also critical to the national security of our nation. The failure of the family values is also affecting what is going on in the country as we speak today. We must therefore ensure that the national security starts with the family, because it's the unit of every community. This can only be achieved through a deliberate, sustained national orientation strategy with focus on educational programs across all strata of learning. Community engagement with local communities to build trust and help gather necessary intelligence is also very necessary. While in Maiduguri, that was the approach we took. We made everybody in the Northeast to understand that for us to win, everyone has a role to play. If you're a market woman, if you're working at the motor park, if you're a church leader or in the mosque, you have a role to play. And working together, we were able to succeed. This can only be achieved through the deliberate, sustained national orientation strategy with focus on educational programs that call all strata of learning, community engagement with local communities to build trust and help gather intelligence is also very necessary. Such cooperation builds a sense of togetherness and facilitates patriotism from the grassroots. The integration of technology is also vital to national security, as leveraging technology will enhance security surveillance and response, particularly due to our large landmass and population. Our borders, as we understand, very porous, over 4,000 kilometers, 1,500 kilometers border with Niger Republic, part of our main issues that we are having. Also important, necessary is regional cooperation and collaboration, because we can't do it alone. The Multinational Joint Task Force is working seriously. We need to enhance the capacity, as well as the joint operations. The Multinational Task Force in Chad remains a successful model for collective action against insurgents exploiting porous frontiers due to the effect of the worsening security situation in the Sahel, climate change effect. Lastly, and most importantly, we must all collectively address the root causes of insecurity, such as poverty, unemployment, and lack of education. We must also ensure that citizens do not feel voiceless, helpless, or marginalized. By working together with the government agencies, civil society, and international partners, we can build a safer and more prosperous Nigeria. With those brief views, I want to once again congratulate General Irabor on the launch of this wonderful piece of literature and celebrate him at 60. Let us draw inspiration for his journey, as his life reflects discipline, humility, courage, and unwavering faith in Nigeria. He has demonstrated that leadership is not only about self and personal gain, but about service and leaving behind legacies that uplift others. Those legacies are what we are following. I want to take this advantage to also talk to Nigerians that the armed forces of Nigeria is committed to ensuring that Nigeria is secured and is safe. And we are doing everything possible within the means available to ensure that we achieve that. And then I assure you, working together as a team, as Nigerians, hand in hand, we will defeat this enemy. But we need your support. And I can tell you as we speak, we have thousands of your troops in the trenches, in the jungles, up the mountains, working 24 hours to ensure that nothing happens to us. And I think they deserve some commendation. On behalf of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, I extend warm congratulations to you, sir, on this milestone birthday, and deep appreciation for your continued contributions to our nation. You have fought gallantly, led wisely, and written your name in the chronicle of Nigerians' history. We are proud to celebrate you. May God grant you a long life, good health, and continued relevance in serving our great nation, the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Happy birthday, sir, and congratulations on the successful launch of your book. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as the Chief of Defense Staff makes his way down, it pleases me to bring to the microphone a man that will be very thrilled to speak to us this morning. He was Chief of Defense Staff himself, 2003 to 2006, and was former Chief of Army 2001 and 2003. And in that period, the author today was his aide-de-camp, his ADC. Please join me respectfully as we bring to the microphone General Alexander Ogomudia. Fellow Nigerian Society of Engineers, holder of the CFR. Yes, sir. The boss who has mentored another boss.
I've been given 4 minutes, so I think I should even leave all protocols. But like an earlier speaker said, there are some people too important that, at least in my life, that we just can't ignore them. So I want to start with the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, ably represented by our Honorable Minister for Defense. My daddy, my boss, former President Aremu Olusegun Okikiolu Obasanjo. And then, of course, I also amiable former President, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, the Sultan, my Lord Bishop, and the Esunupe, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I have not read the book, so I have no comment at all on the book. But I would like to start by an assessment of what I see of the approach of Nigerians to security. Oftentimes you get a call, particularly in the Delta, sir, I'm burying my father today, or burying my father, say, a given date. And I would like if you can send some soldiers to guard, to support us. And my immediate answer is that, my friend, the army is not there to do the burial of your father. The army is a national institution. Now, why is this important? It's important because of the perception of the people about what the army should be doing. All sorts of things you hear. The army has a role. In fact, we will solve the security problem when all of us begin to play our role, including even the local government chairman. There are some things that happen at local government level. There are issues that have been driven by those chairmen. So the customs, immigration, police, prisons, correctional service, and civil defense, Army, Navy, Air Force, everybody has a role. And until we all play that role, I'm afraid security will continue to escape us. If we take security, for instance, as an enterprise, then of course we must know that there should be an objective. There will be a mission. And therefore, if you have that, then you are going to have structures to be able to achieve that. Those structures also must have some authority, they must have some manpower, they must have some training, they must have procedures for what they want to do. And therefore, we will always have an opportunity to reflect on those things anytime we want to actually get security right. In Bishop Kuka's presentation, I noticed two questions, a question that he raised, which was that of end of Boko Haram. That will come when we look at the actual theory of revolutionary and counter-revolutionary war. You are not going to be able to kill every Boko Haram person, but you will kill them so much so that you drive them underground. And that leads to why you will have things like preparatory stage, then where suicide bombers are coming in, and then things like open offensive, and then maybe limited war when they have a foreign backer. That is what will happen. So if we beat them sufficiently, it will go underground. But that must also take along the non-kinetic effect, because these people are responding to certain stimuli in the society. So you must do something to solve the problems that are addressing those things. Now, so we talk of solutions, or maybe another point he made. You were looking for an operations room at the presidency. No. It is when you have a war that has halted production in a country. That's the only time you can have that sort of thing. But otherwise, the ops room in the defense headquarters and other headquarters, service headquarters, can solve the problem. So what should be the way forward? Now, one of the things that I think is so critical about the way security is going is because of impunity. A lot of things are happening. In fact, I've said to some people, if we can see God, some Nigerians will slap him. That's the situation. So it means that we need to do more to punish people for what they are doing. And in this regard, intelligence is key to what we do. In fact, this war, a better part of it is intelligence. Once you can locate the real person you want, you go for him, and you take him out. It's not a long story of taking him to go and keep him in some jailhouse and 8 years, nothing done to him until they come and plan the escape and all that. No, you must take them out. Now, the leaders also must find a way to start the solution of a problem at the beginning. You see, we tend to leave this thing too late. And once you tackle insecurity at the beginning, you can solve the problem, because at that time they have not built up. They don't have logistics, they don't have all what it takes to be able to do things that can damage the country. But if you don't do that and you wait until they have gone far, then you are going to need a war to fight or to solve the problem. And that's precisely the situation Nigeria is in. Thank you. All right. Thank you, sir. Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Apologies, sir, that we had to help you abridge your address, but nonetheless, the message is clear. Please, a round of applause for former Chief of Defense Staff, General Alexander Ogomudia. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to a point that is close to the high point of this afternoon's occasion. We're told that if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. So says the 6th President of the United States of America. You would agree with me that this afternoon we're bringing to you a man who first and foremost is an engineer, holds a master's in international affairs, another master of strategic studies, a man who was theater commander, Lafia Dole, commander of multinational joint force at N'Djamena, Chad. He was Chief of Defense Staff 2021 to 2023, and today he's added the title author to his long list of accomplishments. Please, for the biggest applause of the afternoon, let us welcome General Lucky Irabor.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, here ably represented by the Honorable Minister of Defense. We are delighted to have you, Your Excellency. I would thank you for coming. Our father, mentor, I want to thank you for accepting to be the chairman with the entreaties. I recall that morning when you called me after sending a message. As you asked me, sorry to wake you up. I said, Your Excellency, I'm awake. Actually, I was not awake. But when I heard your voice, I had to wake up. Thank you so very much for indeed not only offering the forward, but also being the chairman of this occasion. And for our guest of honor, the former president, I would like to also thank you. Our royal fathers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I know that our time is fast spent, and I thought that it's necessary for me to join my wife to also welcome you again to the launch of this book, Scars, Nigeria's Journey, and the Boko Haram Conundrum. No doubt, as the MC said, today is a milestone in my journey as an author. I never knew that this is the life of an author. I think, in fact, from the experience I now have, I have utmost respect for anyone who has put his pen on paper to author a book. Congratulations. This book is a product of years of reflection on my experiences as a military officer, engaged in addressing the Boko Haram insurgency as already indicated. In writing it, I sought to investigate the phenomenon, to examine its roots and complexities, and to contribute my own way to finding lasting solutions to this national crisis. Let me pause to express my gratitude once again to all those who stood by me throughout the journey. My family, friends, and colleagues, all your encouragement and unwavering support have sustained me. On this audience, I cite my godfather in NDA, Major General Wiwa. Kede Wiwa go wrong? Then Kede Wiwa will say, Kede Irabor go and hunch. And right in this audience, I also cited my roommate who brought me up, who taught me how to hunch, who left. Then Cadet A.S. Garba, who left as squadron leader A.S. Garba. I'd like to thank you for those beautiful times that we shared right in India up until now. God bless you all. Let me equally thank the publisher and the entire production team for the professionalism and commitment that have transformed this vision into reality. The special guest of honor, sir, as well as chairman, the guest of honor, our royal fathers, everyone, I'd like to thank you for what indeed value that you have brought into my life and indeed in this work. God bless you all. Now, this moment, I must say, holds very special meaning to me. Earlier on, and by the way, thank you, CDS, for wishing me a happy 60th birthday, because in 2 days' time, by the special grace of God, I will mark my 60th birthday. And I cannot think of a more fitting gift to myself than this lunch. And for the eminent personalities that have come to honor this invitation, I'm truly, truly grateful. On behalf of my family and I'd like to thank you. Now, the account in this book is a painful truth as I see it. It is my hope that it will elicit a national conversation, which is aimed at focusing attention on credible solutions to the nation's challenges. As we unveil this book, I invite you to join me on a journey of reflection, empathy, and hope. I have always believed that man exists to solve problems. If you are not solving any problem, then your existence is worthless. Therefore, let us remember the victims of Boko Haram's atrocities. And let us also note that scars, the journey, Nigeria's journey and Boko Haram conundrum is not an indictment. Take it from me, it's not an indictment. It is a national soul-searching presentation. It is an awakening reality to either act dutifully for progress or do nothing and tend towards extinction. May that not be our portion. Hence, let us recommit ourselves to building a nation anchored on justice, equity, and peace. For me, this book is not just a narrative. It is a call for sustained hope and optimism. In the words of Nelson Mandela, I do not lose. I either win or I learn. Therefore, our national experiences should be seen as wins and lessons. Let me add that the proceeds from this book will be used to sustain support to schools and hospitals, which my family and I have been committed to over the years. Once again, thank you for being here. As I assure you that SCARS is quite optimistic that collectively we can turn our scars into victories of national sprawling nationhood. Once again, thank you and God bless.
That applause is not strong enough for this. As our author takes his handshakes and commendations, I would like to quickly salute the patience of the representative of Mr. President, the Honorable Minister of Defense. We want to thank you so much, sir, for being so patient and be here with us. at this point would very now quickly want to unveil this book and then proceed perhaps with a very, very light launch, I'll put it that way, of the book from anybody. This is not a commercial enterprise, and you have heard from the author. The proceeds are going to support medical and health programs that they already have identified as a family. So clearly there's no chief launcher, none of that is happening. But what we have been able to do, as you well know, the author is a man who's built up so much relationships across not only the military establishment, but in Nigeria as a whole. It pleases us, therefore, that this afternoon, another revered gentleman, a man who is very authored and learned himself, former Chief of the Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Dele Joseph Izoba, would step up now to come and officially unveil this book. And I think it would be good for the author to join him, the author and his wife, to join him as he comes forward. He said to me that the author is been a dear friend, a dear brother. Yes, so come and tell us what to do. Don't point at me there. So I think we're supposed to sorry?
They can't see.
This one? Well, it's sitting on. How many are we filling up? There are many now. Huh? How many? Remove them. Okay. I mean, what is that? Just.
Madam, ask Madam to come forward. When they take the pictures, come forward. Come here. Just stay for her so that we go see you. Turn.
Yes.
Your Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, ably represented by the Minister of Defense, the chairman of today's occasion, President Olusegun Obasanjo, the special guest of honor, President Goodluck Jonathan, to whom I owe a lot of debt of gratitude, because on his presidency, he found me worthy to appoint me as the Chief of the Naval Staff. I say thank you very much, sir. Our royal fathers, ministers, the Chief of the Defense Staff, service chiefs, serving and retired, governors represented and those present here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, once again, you're all welcome. We have just a simple task here this afternoon to unveil the book. But before then, let me congratulate my brother Goodluck, Lucky Irabor, the Chief of the Defense Staff, retired but not tired, and his lovely wife for finding time to put his thoughts together in a documentation that will stand for the rest of eternity. It requires a lot of courage, discipline, and strength of character. Well done. This book, like we've been told, is going to serve a fundamental purpose in our national history, either to fill the existing gap in literature or to add value to the depth of scholarly work that has been done with regards to national security in Nigeria. I thank all of you. With these few remarks, we will go to unveil the book. scarce as it is, the Nigeria's journey and the Boko Haram conundrum. Thank you very much.
I shall be asking the unveilers to remain as I invite His Excellency, former Governor of Delta State, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, who I'm told is in the hall, to please come and join us. I would also respectfully like to invite our chairman of the occasion, President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, President Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, to kindly come and join us on stage now. Also, the book reviewer, Bishop Kuka, the Sultan of Sokoto, kindly all come, please. General Mongunu. It is difficult. See, I don't know. They wired it, so there's something they plugged here. That's my issue.
Okay, so let's shift them a little.
We should come this side, but they will be away from the book. You understand? Can we do it this way, please? Yes. Don't worry. Just calm down. We'll do it. We'll sort it out. Yeah? We'll sort it out. Okay, maybe, and this thing is heavy.
Let's see. They can move it. Hold on. Hold on.
Can we move it a bit?
Yeah, he's doing it. What are you doing?
Biggie. We need to move this. Please, who has the books, please? We need copies of the books, please. Copies of the book. Can you take it from this angle? No, not yet. No, it will block their view. That's why I said this thing was too high. I said bring it down. Nobody needs it. So okay, so this set is done. The author and his wife would remain. All the representatives of governors, deputy governors here present, please, your turn. Come on stage now, please. All representatives of governors, We know there's Katsina, there's Rivers, there's Delta, there's Nasarawa. Please, can you they're coming, please, can we clear this place? Please. Governors, the former Minister of Defense, Magaji, is here. Please join us. Please remember, the president hasn't spoken. Please. Please, let's go back now. Everybody, you have a copy. Where are the books? Okay. Okay, please, you have 10 seconds to take this picture. 10 seconds to take the picture. You're done? Okay, thank you all very, very much. We would now like to Major General Bashir Magashi, retired, kindly come forward. Please, we need to. Major General Bashir Magashi.
While this is going on, as they come forward, please remember that those who are responsible for looking after insurgents that are incarcerated are in the Correctional Service, and the Deputy Controller General of Correctional Service, A.D. Kupan, is here representing the Controller General, Nigeria Correctional Service. Please remember that as has been said, Rwanda has shown an example of unity, so has Singapore. In fact, Singapore has a lot to do with their diversification. They have a national body that looks after diversification in Singapore.
Please, may I ask us to settle down again? The representative of the president is going to speak to us now. Please.
I'd like you to please sit down so that we can respect the representative of Mr. President, who is basically like Mr. President is here himself. The Honorable Minister of Defense is here with us, and until you settle down, he's not going to speak to us. Please return to your seat. Keep the order in the room. Thank you very much. Please clear the aisle. if you sit, we will then invite the representative of His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I'd like to please encourage you to be seated at this time. Thank you so much. Please return to your seats. It is now my honor to invite the Honorable Minister of Defense, representing His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to deliver the President's address at this very important occasion. Please let's welcome him with a round of applause.
Your Excellency, the former President Olusegun Obasanjo, the chairman of this occasion. The guest of honor, His Excellency, former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, the Sultan, the Etsenufe, the reviewer of the book, governors and former governors, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm standing on behalf of Mr. President. Therefore, anytime I say I, it's not me, it refers to Mr. President. So it gives me great honor to be part of today's ceremony to celebrate one of our nation's finest. I'm represented by the Honorable Minister of Defense, not as a stand-in, but as a mark of this administration's deep respect for service and sacrifice. We honor those who shaped our history and continue to guide our future with wisdom. Distinguished guests, our esteemed author, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to stand before you today to honor a quintessential general on his 60th birthday and unveiling of a timely and thought-provoking book that tackles one of the most pressing challenges facing our nation. Insecurity, which he ably authored. As we gather to celebrate the publication of this significant work, we do so with understanding that the issues at hand are complex, multifaceted, and demand our collective attention and action. The book we'll unveil today is more than just a literary compilation, but a call for reflection, a source of insight, and potential catalyst for change. Through its pages, we are invited to explore the root causes of insecurity, to examine the manifestation, and to consider the pathway to a safer, more united and resilient Nigeria. General Irabor's life and career embody the essence of service. From his early days in the Signal Corps to his advanced training at Obafemi Awolowo University and Harvard, he blended knowledge with action. He has demonstrated that leadership in war is not solely about firepower, but also about intellect, vision, and resolve. His time at the heart of our counterinsurgency effort was epochal. As the theater commander of Operation Lapia Dole, he confronted an existential threat to our national identity with the desired determination and pragmatism. It was under his command that the armed forces achieved the historic clearance of the dreaded Sambisa forest, which demonstrated an unyielding national resolve. Later, as a commander of multinational joint task force, he mastered the complex art of coalition warfare, harmonizing 4 national armies to secure the Lake Chad region. This success was a practical prelude to his appointment at the 17th Chief of Defense Staff, where he cemented synergy as a non-negotiable operational doctrine for all our services. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, General Irabor's book, Scars, Nigeria's Journey and the Boko Haram Conundrum, is not only history, it provides guidance for the present and serves as a roadmap for the future. A scar tells a story. It reminds us of pain, but it also proves that survival is possible. Therefore, the scars we carried as a nation are evidence of our resilience. They remind us of the sacrifice of our heroes past, soldiers, displaced families, and communities, sacred but unbroken. This book indeed to learn from those experiences and to build a safer and stable tomorrow. My administration is committed to that tomorrow. Under the Renewed Hope agenda, we are determined to transform Nigeria into a nation of peace, opportunity, and unity. Security is at the heart of this vision. We are modernizing our armed forces with modern platforms and relevant technology. We are also streamlining intelligence gathering capability and deepening regional partnership to boost collective security. We are investing in a whole of a society approach to security so that peace is not only won on the battlefield, but sustained in daily life with participation of the citizens. Let all Nigerians be aware that we will not rest until we defeat all indices of insecurity. I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to the author for his dedication, research, and commitment to shed a light on this critical issue. The work is a testament to the power of ideas and the importance of practical and intellectual engagement in addressing the challenges of our time. Let us use this occasion not only to acknowledge the book, but also to reaffirm our commitment to working together toward a future where every Nigerian can live without fear, thrive in peace, and contribute to the nation's greatness. General Irabor's work is a reminder that every scar is both a warning and a lesson that teaches us never to forget the cost of peace and never to abandon its pursuit. At this juncture, I wish to bid General Irabor happy 60th birthday. To your dear wife and family, I extend the nation's gratitude. Madam, your sacrifices have been the quiet strength behind his hard service, and therefore part of Nigerian strength. I thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister of Defense. As he stands, sir, may I ask you to step this way? Mrs. Irabor, kindly join your husband. The author would now be presenting a copy of the book that is going to His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It's already been autographed by the... Yeah? So he gets that. And I think the Minister of Defense himself will get his own copy. Yes, now. So he's going home with at least 2 copies of this book, and this one is for him in person. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Thank you, author. Let me also then announce the author insists that his team of members of the 34th regular course are here, and we would like to applaud all of you for coming here to support one of your own members of the 34th regular course. So now, having dispensed with all of that, we will now go to supporting this book. There is something I have been given here, but I am too scared to deliver it. Someone in the audience came to me and says, you know, when Baba was speaking, Baba said, if you take too much time, I will go. If you take a bit more, it will be double. The man says, well, check. Maybe Baba has come here with a bit of cough. And so, you know, Baba is like that. So, Baba, they gave me this bottle. They say it's Mentodex. I should bring it to you, but I'm afraid to bring it. Because I should bring it. You were here, Baba said I should bring it. Now I go.
I feel sorry for you.
I will go.
You are going, you are under the protection.
It won't be the first time that Baba has conked my head.
I hear you.
You see now, all of you naysayers, you see what has happened? Baba, all that's left is for you to drink it, but I know security won't allow you to drink it.
Henry, let's shut up. Where are we going now?
Okay, we're coming now to the support for the book. I think we're reasonably done. We would like anyone in the audience, like we said, this is not one of those formal lunches. If you're moved by the spirit of the occasion to support this laudable work that General Lucky Irabor has presented to Nigeria today and the world, please, we would yield time for you on stage here to come and support this book. Money if you want, in any shape or form. The time is yours now.
We can't take more than 5. Today is Friday, so there are those who need to go to the mosque. And so we will take 5 persons who would volunteer to come here quickly, and we'll give each person 1 minute each, and then we'll be done in 5 to 10 minutes, so those who need to go to the mosque will go. We also have our ushers around the room and our event planners who have copies of the book if you want to do this silently. Again, remember that we recognize the Comptroller of the Correctional Services who is here with us. In the meantime, please, Mr. Chairman has risen.
Okay.
Please, let us have some ushers to go around because today is Friday. As they go around, whatever you want, you write note, whatever, or give it in 5 minutes and we'll be done.
Thank you, sir.
Please, you have heard from our chairman. Where are our ushers? Kindly go around with your pledge slips, with the copies of the book. In the meantime, whilst that is ongoing, I'd like to invite Mr. Joshua Leo Irabor to step forward, and whilst we're busy getting copies of the book, Mr. Joshua Leo Irabor will give us the official vote of thanks. Mr. Leo Irabor, thank you.
Thank you very much. The special guest of honor, His Excellency the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the chairman of this great occasion, and the guest of honor, former presidents of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, honorable ministers and state governors here present, the service chiefs, principal staff officers, all distinguished senior government and military officials, royal fathers here present, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is with great honor and a heart full of gratitude I offer the vote of thanks on behalf of my family and the organizing committee. This morning and afternoon has truly been a landmark occasion, marking the public unveiling of a book that I believe will be pivotal to the ongoing conversations about our nation's security and future. Because of this, I give gratitude to God Almighty for the success of the unveiling and launch. I also extend my profound appreciation to His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, ably represented by the Honorable Minister of Defense, Alhaji Mohammed Baduru Abubakar MON, for gracing this occasion. Your presence here is a powerful testament to the leadership's commitment to thoughtful engagement on matters of national security and development. I am deeply grateful to the chairman of this occasion, the former president of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR, for your presence and excellent remarks, and secondly, for penning down such a powerful foreword for the book. Also, my appreciation is in no small regard to the former president of Nigeria, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, GCFR, for honoring this invitation and your excellent remark as well. Thank you very much, sir. I must say a big thank you to the keynote speaker, the former National Security Advisor, Major General B.M. Monguno, CFR, for your insightful keynote. And to all the speakers providing views on the way forward on national security, I say a big thank you for your contributions to the discourse today. To all the top government and military officials and traditional rulers here present, I extend a heartfelt gratitude to you for taking time out of your demanding schedules. I know the timing is tight, but you made time and your support is invaluable. To the esteemed reviewer, Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka, I most sincerely thank you for your exceptionally thorough and insightful review. Your brilliant analysis did justice to the depth and complexity of the issues addressed in the book, and your words have helped frame the conversation beautifully without incurring the expense of a new deployment. So thank you very much, sir. To the brave men and women of the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, both active and retired, I say thank you for your unwavering support, sacrifice, and loyalty to our nation. This book is a narrative of your commitment written by one of your very own. Indeed, your dedication ensures the survival and progress of our dear nation. To my mother, Mrs. Anwuli Victoria Irabor, thank you for being a quiet pillar of strength, the source of prayer and an enduring support. Your sacrifice and understanding and fortitude, especially during the challenging moments of service, are the unwritten chapters of this book. I love you dearly. And finally, to the author, my father, the immediate past Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky E.O. Irabor, retired CFR, thank you for sharing so generously from your wealth of experience and your unique perspective forged from the front lines of conflict and in the rooms of strategic command. Your love for Nigeria, its potential, its people, and its peace truly jumps out on every page. And so I say, thank you for your selfless sacrifice to our dear nation and for leaving us with an intellectual legacy that demands we look beyond the surface of the crisis. As we conclude, I wish to share a profound quote reference in the book which embodies the core message. Security is not military hardware, though it may include it. It is not military forces, though it may involve it. It is not traditional military activity, though it may encompass it. Security is development, and without development, there can be no security. This book is a call to action. It is a charge not just to those in uniform, but to every citizen, leader, and policymaker. So I hope we heed the lessons in this book. And as we leave here, I pray that there is a renewed commitment to the continued effort for comprehensive development of our dear nation. Thank you all, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Joshua Leo Irabor. Thank you very much. Indeed, they say the apple does not fall too far off from the tree. That is the son of very proud parents. Ladies and gentlemen, our author belongs to a group. And this is the group of all chiefs of defense staff, all serving service chiefs, serving and retired. Please, we want you all now to come on stage to join the author in taking this picture, and I'm told that you'd like to support the book. So author and his wife, please step forward. Current and past chiefs of defense staff, serving chiefs, all of you, this is your time. Kindly come forward on stage now, please. Kindly come forward on stage. Where is General Ogomudia? I suppose our chairman would like to join this picture, sir. These are your men, sir. So kindly come and join them. And I'm sure you will not mind President Goodluck Jonathan's. You don't have to be, but you are Commander-in-Chief. You are former Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. Yeah, shift this way a little bit. Please. Your two former Commanders-in-Chief of the Armed Forces are coming to join you. Please. So we shall give room for, I think, Obasanjo here and Goodluck here. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Space here. Baba is here. Sir, you are after Madam. Yes. Fantastic. Okay. Copies of the book, please. Where are the ushers with these books? Okay, sorry. All right, I'm sure that they'll definitely receive copies of the book. Okay, sir. We don't have one in the program, sir, but we will. Okay, sir. All right, sir. Okay. Okay. Are we good? Have we put on our best smiles?
Say the closing prayer.
Shall we say the closing prayers, please? God our Father, we thank you, we praise you, we honor you. We beg you to receive the offering of this great country and place it beside your throne of glory and grace. We thank you for our military, we thank you for all those who continue to look after this country. We know that we have to nothing before you. We thank you for the grace we thank you.